Hi, my name is Sean Considine, and I had this idea to help people who get these sort of meal kits. And they're great for people in terms of convenience, but sometimes people don't know how to dice an onion or to handle herbs, things like that. And particularly, I realized this was really difficult for my husband. And so I thought I'd make some videos on actually taking a particular meal kit. I use and support Martha and Marley Spoon. I think it's the best restaurant quality meal kit service that's out there. And no, I don't get paid for this. So tonight I'm gonna make the crispy pecan crusted salmon. So it's right here. They don't number these, but I will ultimately put this on a YouTube channel. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the cooking per se. It's really gonna be more on the prep because you can get all those videos already on YouTube, but it's really more the prep. So it's looking at the actual putting it all together in the ingredients, which is on the back side, that I'm gonna go through today. So I hope you really find it helpful. Ultimately, subscribe to my channel when I get it up, and feel free to let me know thoughts, comments, feedback, all of that, because I want it to be useful for everybody. So let's just dive right in. So I'm a little new on the whole camera thing too, so I may have to make some adjustments so that you can see what I'm doing. So you'll hear me, but you won't see my face. Okay, so preheat oven to 425. I'm gonna go do that right now. Simple enough. Okay, scrub potato, fine. I guess this says to leave the skin on. I'm not like a huge fan of the skin on, but let's try it this time. If you don't like it with the skin on, you certainly can peel it. I think there are some nutrients underneath the skin of the sweet potato that probably are helpful. So I just gave that a quick rinse, and I'm using a dish towel, which I love dish towels because it seems a little bit more environmentally friendly. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about more in terms of cutting and things. So it says cut lengthwise into 1/2 inch thick slabs, and then cut each slab into 1/4 inch thin sticks. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off the ends first that aren't really very nice. I'm gonna get rid of those. So what I'm gonna do is try and make it easy for cutting in terms of having a solid, flat surface. So I'm gonna cut it in half. I've got a chef's knife here that's actually pretty sharp. And maybe at some point I'll do a chef, like a knife skills class, because I know this is can be difficult for people. I've taken quite a few of those and they're very helpful. So now I have it on this flat. So I have it flat. It's much easier to deal with than this, right? This is like rolling all over the place. So put it flat. Okay, 1/2 inch thick slabs. I tend to use my finger. If you see my finger here, that's about 1 inch, so about half. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. So I'm cutting. It's pretty important that my knife would be sharp because I'm having to use a bit of leverage here to get that. So I've got my slices here. So I cut them into kind of 1/2 inch slabs. I'm gonna do the same on the other one. Now I have my fingers away from the edge, but I am actually using my hand as leverage. So I've got the other one as well. So now we have 8 of these slabs. And then it says cut each slab into 1/4 inch sticks. Now what I need to do though is that you can see this is clearly more than 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna trim these up. So again, I'm gonna put flat side down here like that. Much easier to cut, right? And I'm gonna cut these sort of in half. So these will be more or less 1/4 inch slabs because now I've cut through sort of the width. Okay, so now I have these. So these look pretty good in terms of being 1/4 inch. Now it says that we need to cut each slab into Now it's a 1/4 inch thick slab. So I'm gonna kind of cut these then in half. And I think I'm gonna just leave them. I think if I cut them any more, I think they'll just be like shoestring potatoes, and that's not really, I think, what we want. So I'm gonna cut these again, keeping them flat part down into, I hope this is clear what I'm doing. So I've got these two together that I just cut, and they're here. I'm gonna cut those again in half. So taking the 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch. Okay. The edges don't always work perfect. Just cutting these. I said the edges. Try and get one that's sort of a decent shape too, because then they can cook more evenly. Oh, it's a bit funky. Okay, so just got like 2 more. Just gonna cut these. Okay, so now I have these slabs, as they call them. Okay, and it says on a rimmed baking sheet. Now, I really also love cutting boards, so I like to have a lot of cutting boards handy. So I'm going to take my rimmed baking sheet. This isn't the most beautiful sheet, but it doesn't matter, but it is rim. It's got this rim here. That's really important so that things don't fall out. I'm going to toss the sweet potatoes. So I'm going to put them in here with 1 tablespoon oil, and it's a neutral oil. So let me go grab that. So neutral oil is going to be something that can heat at a higher temperature, that will not burn. So unfortunately, olive oil is not going to work here. So this is, I believe this is a vegetable oil that I just put into this sort of nice canister. So I'm just kind of pouring this over. This is 1 tablespoon. I'm just kind of drizzling it. I don't want to dump it all in one area. So I'm going to kind of move that all around. I'm going to put some salt and pepper on it. Looks like it's pretty well covered. It's certainly not going to stick to the pan. All right, so I like, this is Kirkland Costco, but it doesn't matter, but I do like to use these sort of grinders when I use them. Season with salt and pepper, doesn't say how much, so I just do a couple, maybe 4 or 5 kind of turns. Same with the pepper, 4 or 5 turns. And I'm kind of moving it around. I'm gonna mix it around one more time. Now what I'm not gonna do is put this in the oven just yet, because A, the oven has not preheated to the right amount yet. And I'd like to kind of get ahead of the game a little bit, because I don't like some of these recipes, especially when you do rice. The rice is ready so far in advance, the rest of your food, that it's not warm. And I kind of like all my things to be warm, like just like a restaurant. Okay, so I'm gonna put that off to the side, just for now. I'm gonna kind of get ahead of some of this prep. So right now, you know, we're just taking all the ingredients and getting them ready. Okay, so while the sweet potatoes roast, which I'm not doing, we're gonna trim the stem ends from the broccoli. So here's our broccoli. I washed it off very quickly. Now this is basically the yummy part, and then this is the stalk. I don't like the stalk. Some people, I think, don't mind it. You can use it in other recipes, things like that, but it's not something I want to do. So I trim my crowns pretty close to the top. So you can see, you know, I don't have a ton of stalk here, but that's really personal preference. But I don't like this, so I'm throwing it away. That's my disposal right there. So again, I'm just gonna come in here with, very careful with my knife, and I'm just gonna cut off the crown from the stalk. And you can do it kind of, each head is almost kind of individual. You can see the stalk. The stalk is coming here, and that's like its own head and crown there. So I'm gonna just do that one at a time, and then I can control, these I cut through already. but I can control kind of how I cut it, and I make sure I get, you know, all the best parts. So I'm just cutting through it carefully. Okay, and if you got too much of the stalk, like this one maybe, you can cut it some more and throw that away. So that goes that. Now sometimes and it says then cut the crowns into 1-inch florets, like, you know, sometimes, you know, this might just be a little too big, so I'm gonna cut it in half. Too hard to get a mouthful if it's really big like that. You can't fit in your mouth. So I generally cut those in half. This is quite big. So I'm gonna cut that even more down a little bit, just through the stalk itself. You can just kind of cut some of these into fourths or halves. It depends on what you like. Things that are smaller will cook faster, but you want to make sure they're more or less the same so they're evenly cooked. Okay, so I have all my broccoli crowns here. All right, finally chop pecans. And it's funny, it doesn't tell us how to do that. So, and I usually cut these things open. So chopping pecans, do this a couple different ways. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put them in a dish towel, and I am going to hit them with a mallet. Okay, so I have my trusty dish towel here. I'll make some room. And I folded it over, and I'm gonna put the pecans sort of in the middle-ish, and then I'm gonna fold it over again, okay? So I've kind of got a pecan dish towel sandwich. I'm going to get my, where is it? Okay, let's see where that went. Oh, I saw it somewhere. Well, you can basically use, this is kind of a mallet. It's also a meat tenderizer. So I'm using the smooth side because I don't really need to use the pointy side, but I'm gonna just kind of chop these up. Let's see how I did. Oh, I did okay. I might give it another go. These aren't really that chopped. Might have to chop harder or hit them harder. You could use a knife with this, but it's gonna kind of go everywhere. I am kind of a messy cook to begin with, so I think that would make an even bigger mess. So let's see. Oh, that much better. Okay, so my second go around was quite a bit better. Now it doesn't really say, but ultimately I'm gonna put the pecans with the panko and I'm gonna coat the salmon. So I'm gonna really smash this up. I want it to be really smashed. Okay. There we go. All right, that's better. We still have a few kind of gritty ones. Let me see if I can get this just a little bit better. If you have a small chopper, I have one of these. Again, it's just more to clean up at the end. But I have a chopper here that I could easily put this into with the pecans. And then it kind of comes with this sort of like a, what is this? This is a KitchenAid sort of emulsion. It has all kinds of things. It has a whisk. It has like a chopper that I can make smoothies with. So basically I would put it in here and plug it in, turn it on, and it would whiz it all up. Now I've used, you know, a lot more things to make that in terms of getting them dirty. So I'm not gonna do that today, but you certainly, if this is not working for you, you don't like the factor of doing it this way, certainly do it in something small. And it is a little messy now that I think of it. Here I've got like pecan dust everywhere. I'm just gonna shake that out. I'm gonna fold that so all the pecan dust is inside now. All right, so we have our pecans. What next? Finely grate 1/2 teaspoon lemon zest. Okay, I've got my lemon here that I washed already. In an ideal world, I would find all these things in advance. Okay, so this is a zester. Zesters look like a lot of different things. So I had another one, but it got, I think it got eaten up by the disposal. But this is like a mini cheese shredder, if you will. It's got holes and it's a little bit sharp on one side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna very carefully grate the rind, but when it starts to get really white, I'm gonna stop. Because the white part is really, it doesn't taste good. It's the pith, and it's kind of, it's got like a sour, it's kind of a non-edible, unedible, no one really wants that. So I just want to do a little bit. So when I start to get to the white part, I'm going to stop. So I'm going to kind of go all the way around just with a few grating here. And you can see it's coming out. This is what it looks like. So it's a very finely grated. And then there's some good stuff here on the back of my grater that I'm going to make sure I get out. Now it said, I'm not super great always about measuring. You know, I love lemon zest. I don't think there can ever be too much. So I'm going to kind of keep going all over. Once you zest this lemon, you really have to use it right away. Even if you kept it for a day or two, it dries out terribly. The peel really helps protect the lemon itself inside. So it's kind of no good. So you're gonna probably want to use all the lemon juice anyway, even if the recipe doesn't call for it. So put it in a drink or use it at the end or put it all in. Again, I don't think the extra lemon juice is gonna hurt you. Okay, now I'm gonna put that in a shallow bowl, add the panko, the pecans, and oil. I have oil. Shallow bowl. Okay. All right, so here's my shallow bowl. Now the reason I think they want it to be shallow is that I think we're gonna then dip the salmon into this sort of breading. Okay, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take that. I'm going to add the panko. I like to use my knife as kind of a, almost like a spatula kind of helper. So I'm gonna put my pecans in. I'm going to put my lemon zest in, all of it, or as much as I want. And then I'm going to put, move that here so you can see it, the panko in. I'm gonna cut this open. Now sometimes you have to make sure you look to make, so sometimes they don't need you to use all of it. So you need to kind of double check. They're good about saying that, but sometimes you might miss it. So it's all the panko's going in here. Panko's a special kind of breadcrumb that it's kind of special. It's worth the extra money. I've made my own sometimes in a pinch when I don't have panko or I don't have any. But panko is kind of a good thing to just have in your pantry. But again, great thing about Martha and Marley is they send you everything, so you don't have to worry about that. 1.5 tablespoons oil. I do have a tablespoon here. That's one. I don't think we need too much more, a little bit more. 1.5 tablespoons, great. We are going to mix this up a little bit. Now my oven, I don't know if you heard it, it dings. So that means it's actually to 450. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish step 2, and then I am actually going to put the sweet potatoes in the oven. Okay, so there we go. So that looks pretty well combined. All right, so then it says season with salt and pepper. So again, a couple twists of my salt and pepper. There we go. Mix that up again. Okay, I'm gonna rub mixtures together. I already did that with my fingers. I'm gonna get my fingers out of it. Okay, on to step 3. So now I am going to, so if you decide you're not going to put your potatoes in, you've got to be strategic about when you actually are going to put them in. So I'm going to put them in now. It says roast on lower oven rack. I keep my racks pretty low to begin with, and my oven tends to run a little bit hot. So I always cook things at the lowest level. I think that's a good idea. You can always put it in longer, but you can't take away cooking. So roast on lower oven rack until golden brown in the bottom, 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to go with the 12, and then at some point I'm going to check on them. I might actually flip them over, which is probably a good idea because I want them to be cooked on both sides. And I do recycle all these packages when I'm done with them. So I'm just putting them over the side to be recycled. Okay, so I'm going to pat my salmon dry and then season all over with salt. So I'm pretty careful about my cutting boards since I love cutting boards so much. And you can see I have a set that has certain things in the corner. So this has fish. I have one, this one is like poultry and steak. And then this one's vegetables. This one's nothing. So a couple don't have any markings at all. But I really try and be really careful when I'm doing some kind of like a raw animal protein. Really try and use the right one, and then the rest I use for everything else. So I'm not contaminating. I'm not going to give anybody E. coli or anything like that. So because that's certainly not what we're looking for. So let me get my salmon from the fridge. All right, here we go. We've got our salmon. So I actually also take, and this is just when they come in the Martha Marley box, I put all the things that are in the refrigerator section in one bowl so they're easy to find. All the other things come in a paper bag that you can just open. So I'm gonna cut this open. I'm not gonna use those scissors. Again, when you're using things like raw poultry or meat or seafood or anything, I'm gonna use this and then put it in the sink right away. You don't wanna use it for anything else. Okay, so we're gonna pat the salmon dry. In this case, I am gonna use paper towel. I do like the paper towels that go into smaller pieces. That's quite nice. There's the knife. Okay, so we've got nice skin on salmon, which is so much easier to cook than salmon with no skin. All right, so I'm gonna pat this dry. All right, and then pat, 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 pat. Bottom, the skin side doesn't matter as much. I also don't like to eat the skin, so I will remove that before I actually eat it. But some people love that, so it's personal preference. All right, so I've got my salmon patted dry. I'm gonna season just with salt from Martha Marley. Okay. All right, now it says flip potatoes and push to one side of the baking sheet. Oh, interesting. Well, maybe that's why I should have put it at the beginning. All right, well, no big deal. It looks like basically we're gonna keep it on that side. And then, they do say to read the whole recipe before you start, which is probably a good idea. I don't know if I always do that. So now we're gonna let that, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make the dill aioli. Okay, so we've got our salmon here. I'm gonna put that off to the side. Okay, so I'm gonna get a new cutting board here. like to clean up a little bit too as I go along. All right. So I'm skipping number 4. I'm gonna go back once the potatoes ring. So I'm gonna do make the dill aioli number 5. Meanwhile, finely chop 1/2 teaspoon garlic. Okay, so I have a garlic press. This is amazing. I've had this forever. It looks pretty bad because it's Zyliss, Z-Y-L-I-S-S. I think anything that's like this is really helpful. So I'm gonna get the garlic and I'll show you how it works. Okay. So I've got all my garlic here. And I'm gonna show you a couple of things. So Martha Marley sends you a whole head, which is sometimes quite a bit more than you need, but I love garlic. And there's nothing worse than needing garlic and not having it. So what I was doing actually, this is called a head of garlic. It's a whole head, okay? So you can see it's kind of in one piece. Now I'm gonna kind of push down on it. You can see it's all attached here at the bottom. I'm gonna push on the top. So I've got kind of the bottom and the top. I'm gonna push on the side, kind of hard with the heel of my hand, to kind of get those garlic heads. This is called a garlic head. Each individual piece of garlic is called a head, to come loose from sort of the stem, which is right here, and then that bottom piece, and then the top. So that's garbage. We don't need that anymore. Now we only need 1/2 teaspoon. Now I love garlic, so this is really a big piece of garlic. So this might be like a tablespoon. So we'll put that away. This one kind of big too. This one a little bit big. I have these other ones. I like a little, I don't think garlic is anything you can have too much of, especially if your partner's eating it too. So I'm gonna use kind of the biggest one that's left for my 1/2 teaspoon. All right, so again, I'm gonna push on the heel of my hand on it, and I'm kind of smushing it so that it's much easier to get the skin off. Now, there are lots of things to get the skin off too. I have one, I think. It almost looks like a cannoli. Let me see if I have it. Oh, I do have it. I never use it, but I have it. So it looks like a cannoli, right? So what you do is you put it inside and you kind of roll it around, almost like a pasta, like I'm playing Play-Doh or something. So when I'm done with it, I've just kind of rolled or like gotten all that skin off. So that's all gone. So, I mean, if you're into little gadgets, helpful. Do you need it? No, you don't, but I have it. Okay, so let's get rid of some of our garbage here. This is why I'm a little messy. All right, so I have my piece of garlic. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in my garlic press. So I'm gonna open it up, kind of like a sandwich. I've got this part that's ultimately going to squeeze it through the holes. And it says chop, but I love this because it makes them into really kind of small pieces, and they've been kind of smushed. So they're not like these just cubes. They're just, you don't really notice if you're getting a piece of garlic when you use a press. So I put it in here, and I put this is sort of the bottom, like where it attaches to the bottom. We don't want to eat this. It's sort of dry. So I put this top up, and then I put it, I'm gonna put the press down. I've got my press here. I'm gonna close it up, and then I'm going to start squeezing. I'm squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. And then I'm gonna start squeezing out. So you're gonna see it coming out. It's kind of like, I think Play-Doh has something like this where you can make silly shapes. So I usually take a knife and I just go against there and I get my garlic. Now when I open it, I have sort of the outside, and then I have that kind of knobby piece we didn't want to eat. I throw that away first, and then I do put this in the dishwasher, but I rinse it out pretty well because it gets dried in these holes. Some of the kits have something you can push through it, but mine didn't, it's so old. So needless to say, you can see this garlic. It's really, I mean, there's no way I could cut these this small. And so it's really a nice consistency. And like I said, you don't all of a sudden say, oh, I got this big piece of garlic in my mouth. Too much. So garlic press, pretty good thing. All right, finally chop 1 teaspoon dill fronds. Okay, so we've got our dill. I washed it earlier. Now, I'm a little bit funny about this too. So most of these recipes will tell you to use the stems. I'm not a fan of the stems. I just really like the fronds. So I'm not gonna use the stems. So I generally take some liberties because I do know how to cook. And I sometimes just do what I want. So here's my stem, not using it. You could try it and see how you feel about it and then go from there. I love dill too. Nothing better than salmon with like a creme fraiche and fresh dill and a bagel, or just, you know, to brunch. All right, so I've just really kind of like a plant. I'm just tearing off the parts, like almost just like a little tree. I'm just gonna take the parts with the fronds. I'm gonna leave the stalky part, it doesn't have the fronds, to themselves. Okay, so I've got those, and they give you extra, which is fine. They don't last very long, so you can put them back in the fridge, but don't be surprised if they don't last too long. Okay, and so chop them. Okay, so I'm gonna keep my garlic over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna gather them up in a little pile, and I'm gonna take my chef's knife, which is my favorite knife, and I'm just gonna chop them together. You notice how I'm keeping my hand on the edge, the point of it, and I'm using that as leverage to just kind of rock up and down on it. Okay, and I can go really fast. Now my hands and my fingers aren't anywhere near the blade, right? So there's no risk of getting hurt here in any way. So there we go. I guess that might not be the smartest thing, but that's how I do it. So I've got my chopped dill, and then I'm gonna squeeze 2 teaspoons lemon juice. So I've got my lemon. See, you can see how it's got all the zest has kind of come off. Actually, I'm gonna take a break because so it's been 15 minutes or 12 minutes. So I'm gonna go get the sweet potatoes, and so we're gonna go back to step number 4. Okay, so I've got my sweet potatoes here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip them. Okay, it is pretty hot. So I like to flip my potatoes with something that is sort of sharp, because I like all that to get all of it up. Or even those crunchy bits at the end are great. I also have some tongs. I'm gonna hold this because it's very hot. Getting burnt is not my idea today. Well, there's plenty of oil, so they're really not sticking. But I'm gonna flip them over, just like they say. Be careful not to get them everywhere. Okay, and then I'm gonna, like they said, I'm gonna push them to one side of the baking sheet. So I'm gonna push them down here to make room for our other things. All right, I'm gonna add the broccoli. All right, here's our broccoli. Here's my broccoli. There's a picture in step 4, kind of how I have it look. So I'm gonna kind of keep everything in its own area here. I love broccoli, so I'm really excited about this recipe. All right, and then the salmon, so salmon skin side down. Okay, got my salmon over here, put them skin side down, right there. Okay, nice, it's all tucked in there. All right, divide seasoned panko, which we made is here, between salmon, spreading over top of each. Okay, so I'm gonna put a whole bunch on the top, trying to keep it on the top as much as I can. Okay. There's a lot of panko here. Okay. Okay, there's a lot of panko. So I guess I'm gonna put it on. If it doesn't get burnt, which probably shouldn't, probably tastes pretty good. I'm not gonna put the rest on because it's just too much. So I'm just gonna leave the rest over here. All right, now drizzle broccoli and salmon with oil. Okay, it's hard to, I don't like to just drizzle crazy because oil does have fat. So I'm just gonna kind of drizzle the oil with my 1 tablespoon measuring spoon. Okay, so we've got oil, and then we're going to season with salt and pepper. Okay, you good? Roast on lower rack until veggies are tender and brown in spots. The salmon's cooked through to medium, 12 to 13 minutes. Okay, so let's get that back in. 12 to 13 minutes. Again, like I said, my oven's a little hot. I'm gonna do 12, but I can always leave it in if I need to. Okay. Okay, let's go to number 5. Okay, we'll go back to number 5. So I was just about to squeeze my lemon juice. Got my bits and pieces here. Squeeze 2 teaspoons lemon juice into a small bowl. Okay, so I need to cut my lemon, and I'm gonna squeeze it. Now, a couple ways you can squeeze it. Grab my tools. So this is kind of a fun thing. You can use this for limes too. It's kind of nice when I'm not squeezing a whole lot, right? And so it's similar to the garlic press. So this is sort of a citrus press, I think. I'm gonna put it cut side down. There are seeds in here. There's holes in this, which should let the juice come out, but keep the seeds and the main part of the lemon inside. So I'm gonna do that now, but I do need, it said, into a small bowl. Okay, so I've got a small bowl here. I'm going to squeeze, so I've put it cut side down. I'm going to squeeze, similar to how I did before. I'm gonna press down. The holes are down here, so I'm gonna press down into that. Pretty hard, as hard as I can. And then I'm gonna kind of go off to the side too. I wanna get all that yummy juice out. And then I'm just gonna, I like to put lemons down my sink because in my garbage disposal, because it smells really good. And like I said, I like, you know, I'm not gonna use this second, lemon for wedges. I'm gonna use it for wedges. I'm not gonna use it for that. because I do like salmon with lemon, so I'm gonna leave that out. Okay, so I'm going to add the chopped dill. Go, here's our chopped dill. Get all that yummy dill there. The garlic, here's our garlic. Usually I would put this right into the bowl, but I wanted to show you what it looked like. And mayonnaise. Oof. Now, I'm not a huge mayonnaise fan. I'm gonna put some in. So let's see. Here's my mayonnaise, because I've got my bowl there. Here's my mayonnaise. I'm not gonna put as much as the recipe says. So it says 1 ounce. I'm gonna put like half, because I don't like mayonnaise. And this is, we're making the dill aioli, which is, aioli is just, I think, an Italian word for sauce, like a dipping sauce, which we're gonna ultimately, you can dip the sweet potato fries into. So I'm gonna put my mayonnaise in there. Okay, you can put, you know, as little as you like, or as much as you like. I'm just gonna stir it up. So yeah, it's made a little bit of a, more of a sauce. It's a little liquidy, but that's okay. It might sort of firm up a little. All right, season with salt and pepper. Salt, pepper. There we go. All right, now this is just gonna sit. So basically, we've finished the recipe. So we have everything that's in, we did a lot of preparation, but everything is now just cooking. So I appreciate you listening to my first try at helping you prep a Martha and Marley meal. It's fun. I love this stuff. So, and I like doing this, and it's helpful, all the things that I've done and all the cooking over the years. It's helpful to, I think, to help other people realize cooking is not hard. It's really about reading, but it is helpful to know some of the basics that are not listed in these Martha and Marley sort of recipes. And, you know, I'm sure you could Google, you know, how to, you know, dice garlic, or how to zest a lemon, all of that. But I just thought it might be helpful if I kind of walked you through the whole thing, so that when you're actually making it yourself, you can follow along. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate your time and effort. Enjoy your meal, and I would love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye-bye.